Backstory. Years ago, in an unknown time, there was a battle between tribes. In this long onslaught between tribes, it was soon to be found out that only one tribe was being targeted. This tribe was known as the Hato tribe. With a total of 11 tribes, it was an unfair wager, with odds of 10 to 1 stacked against them. The Hato tribe had no other choice but to use an ancient artifact that the 10 other tribes seemed to want so desperately. This item was known as the Lariat. For the sake of the future, the Hato tribe used the Lariat, which happened to kill everyone who had engaged in the battle, including the people from the Hato tribe. Years later, the world would remember the war by making the 10 monuments to remember the tribe's chiefs, names, and their ancient weapon of choice that was used in the battle. Current story time. Okay, Mom, I'm heading out, alright? Said Kibo, now prepared to head out for the 10 monuments. Okay, honey, just be extremely careful. I don't want you to come home with scars and wounds again. Kibo's mom explained with sadness in the back of her mind. You got it, Mom. I'll see you later. Bye, honey, Kibo's mother replied, waving while a single tear shed from her eye. It was known throughout Kibo's village, the village in the water region, that Kibo's father was an extremely legendary adventurer who had died while trying to complete one of the 10 monuments trials. This is probably the reason for her being so worried and sad about her son leaving. She doesn't want to lose the last of her family members. The 10 monuments were created to remember the 10 chiefs and tribe names who had fought in the Great War. Each chief had made puzzles that would stump the most brilliant minds in history and kill off the most muscular of men. These puzzles were intentionally designed to keep the unworthy adventurers out. Essentially, an adventurer is someone who sets out to complete all 10 of the monument's trials. The reason for putting up your life for this is because it's said from ancient myths and legends that by completing a trial, it rewards you with a badge. Supposedly, by obtaining all 10 badges, an incredible gate will be seen only by the ones who have the 10 badges. This extraordinary gateway leads to an unimaginable myth of nature known as Evermore. Evermore is said to obtain an obscure amount of knowledge and can grant you the powers of a god. These are the reasons so many people died trying to attain the 10 badges. When Kibo's father died, Kibo promised him that he would be the first person to see Evermore in honor of him. Thus begins the tale of Evermore. Naturally, some of the 10 monuments have already been located. However, a total of 6 monuments' whereabouts are unknown. It just so happens that the monument in the water region has still not been located. Kibo's only choice is to go to the nearest region where the monument has been found. This would be the Gravity region. Kibo set out to the nearest train station that would take him to the village in the Gravity region, known as Petra. Kibo took a seat after putting his bag above him in the baggage holder and began to look out the window. Kibo started to daze off and began falling asleep when suddenly he felt a small thud occur from across him. He instantly woke up from his 2-second slumber and looked to see what had caused the sudden change. Once Kibo looked over, he saw a beautiful girl who had looked close to his age, 17. Hi, sorry, I didn't ask, but the train's pretty full today, and this looked like the only seat left. You don't mind if I sit here, do you? Said the mysterious girl. Kibo startled at her being so open, he forgot to reply. Oh, that's right. Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Kurudo, the girl had stated. After Kibo had finally gotten out of the prison that was himself, he responded by saying, Oh, sorry. No, it's fine if you sit here. I don't mind. Kurudo calmly said, Okay, thank you. I was beginning to worry you didn't like me from you being so quiet a moment ago. Kibo, now calm, said, Oh, yeah, sorry about that. My name's Kibo, by the way. It's nice to meet you. Kurudo began to chuckle. Are you from the water region? Yeah, I just live around here, and I have a very important journey that I'm beginning today. Kibo began going to somewhat deep thought, thinking back to the promise he had made with his dad. Kibo? Kurudo had said, somewhat curious. Oh, sorry, what? Kibo had replied. Anyways, I wanted to ask you about your so-called journey. Where are you going? Kurudo had said, anxious. Well, I'm an adventurer. I promised my dad I would see Evermore for myself in honor of him, no matter the cost, Kibo had said with his hair hiding his eyes. She could tell that he was completely serious about this. There's not a sign of humor in his voice at all. That's incredible. Hey, what do you say I join you on your journey? I'm an adventurer as well. I'm trying to get to Evermore too. Instantly, the mood had changed to warm and calming. Kibo felt somewhat relieved to know how joyful she was. Although, again, soon the mood was interrupted by a loud bang. Kibo's sentence was interrupted by the sound of the train car behind him blowing up and going off the tracks. The door near the front of the car had burst open with two wizards from the Shadow region yelling at the passengers to get on the ground. Everyone had gotten on the ground except for Kibo. "What are you doing, Kibo? Get down!" Kurudo had said, whispering in an almost yelling tone. Kibo had gotten up from his seat. Two thugs pointed their swords at him, yelling that they would strike him down with force if he didn't go willingly. Once again, Kibo's hair had shadowed his eyes, and he raised both hands in the air, knelt one knee halfway to the ground, and with a burst of light behind him, Kibo had ended up behind both criminals and sliced them both silently. Without anyone even seeing him move or draw his sword, they were down. All the train's passengers had seen what happened, but they didn't know whether to be happy at the fact that they were safe or scared at just how powerful this boy was. Kibo smiled at them and telling them it would be okay now, and that they can return to their seats. Still frightened at the power and the skill of the boy, they returned to their seats without saying a single word. Kibo stopped, smiled, and began walking towards the front of the train. Before he could get away, however, Kurudo had asked where he was going. "Don't worry, Kurudo. I'm just gonna make sure that the rest of the passengers are alright. So, please, take your seat. I'll be right back," Kibo had said, giving Kurudo a smile. Kurudo took her seat, and in an instant she heard people groaning in agony as she watches as other armed wizards had flown out the window in the cart ahead of her. Moments later, Kibo returned and took his seat, telling Kurudo, "See ya, I told you it wouldn't take that long." As if the tables had turned from before, Kurudo was dazed in amazement and was frozen in place. "Oh, looks like we're here," Kibo had said as the train stopped. Kibo began to get off the train after he grabbed his bag from his holder. "Wait up!" Kurudo had yelled out. Kibo had replied, looking over his shoulder at Kurudo. "I'm coming with you," Kurudo had said with an anxious yet scared face. Kibo turned and began walking away. "Hey! I said I'm coming with you," Kurudo had said, starting to jog towards Kibo. Again, Kibo turned his head and smiled, saying, "Then let's go already." Kurudo had shown a slight smile while she began to catch up, and soon walked next to Kibo on their now joined journey to find Evermore. Author's Corner. Evermore is a made-up anime/manga by me and another fellow American. Evermore was inspired by many anime such as Fullmetal Alchemist, One Piece, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, The Seven Deadly Sins, Danmachi, Sword Art Online, Naruto, and many others. However, we found the most inspiration for this project from my personal all-time favorite anime, Fairy Tail. Evermore is all around invented by two friends who would often suggest to each other new anime and share their opinions to one another about that series or movie. I myself founded Evermore, but soon told my friend about it, and together we invented Evermore. Using the ideas of magic from Fairy Tail and the clans from Naruto, we ended up making the overall social world of Evermore with the help of these two stated anime. We made the 10 elemental landmasses with the help of Fairy Tail's different types of magic and mages. We got the idea of making Kibo's friends mostly come from the other elements, with inspiration from One Piece and Fairy Tail, because no matter who they fought, in the end, there happened to be peace. Kibo's overall character design was mainly based off of Kirito from Sword Art Online, but his personality was based off of Natsu, Kirito, Luffy, and Naruto's, all in one. Kibo as a person is a fun guy who only gets serious if he needs to be. Kibo is extremely protective of his friends, and people who are dear to him. He overall loves a good challenge and doesn't know the definition of the word quit. Overall, he doesn't back down. Kibo, like Natsu and Naruto, decides his own future and follows his own rules and desires. Overall, Kibo is someone who people would naturally want to be around. Kibo in his friends' eyes is an essential part of their journey and adventures. Just for further proof that we, as a whole, had created the Story of Evermore, this is just a Google Drive/Google Doc thing of the script and writing of the first chapter. I'd like to thank you all for watching for the first chapter of Evermore. Many more to come, and thanks once again.